In today's video, I'm going to be demystifying yarn substitution. This is where you will have a pattern that requires a certain yarn, and for various reasons you may not be able to get hold of that yarn anymore, or you may wish to use a alternative yarn, or you may wish to use from your stash. So there's various things that you need to consider. It's not as simple as just swapping 100-gram ball for another 100-gram ball. It doesn't work like that. In some cases, you may still end up using the same amount of balls, but you need to calculate before you start the project. You can't just simply say that this project uses 4 Langcloud tweed at 100 grams each. So that means that you would need 4 balls of 100-gram flare. It doesn't work like that. There's other things to take into consideration. So I'm going to talk you through what those things are that you really do need to consider when swapping out yarns. So for the purposes of today's video, let's just say we have a pattern for a Langcloud tweed sweater, and for the size we want to make, it says we need 4 balls of these 100-gram balls. So when swapping the yarns out, the first thing we need to look at is the weight of the yarn that the pattern is suggesting we use. So we need to look at the Langcloud tweed, and it's a chunky yarn, a chunky weight yarn. So the very first thing we need to think about is finding a chunky weight yarn substitute. So we wouldn't want to swap this for a double knit or a super chunky, because the gauge is going to be way off, and we'll talk about gauge later on in the video. But the very first thing you need to consider and look at is swapping the yarn weights. So you must make sure that if you're going to substitute a yarn, that you're going to be using the same weight. So this is a chunky, so for today's example I'm going to say we will substitute it for a flare, and it's also a chunky weight. And just for the purposes of this video, I'm going to throw in another chunky yarn, which is this Yarn Smith's Lagoon Chunky, and that way I can show you how differently these two options would calculate to make the same jumper. So once you've established that the weight of the alternative yarns that you're considering using are the same weight as the original yarn suggested in the pattern, so we now know that the King Cole Flare and the Yarn Smith's Lagoon are both chunky weight yarns, and all 3 of these yarns have the recommended needle size of 6mm. So we know the weight of yarn is identical. That is still not enough for us to be able to confidently swap the original yarn for a substitute yarn. There are still many things we need to take into consideration before swapping out our yarns, so we're going to go ahead and look at those now. The next part we're going to look at is one of the most important parts when substituting yarns, and it does involve a little bit of maths. So to demonstrate this, I'm just going to grab a pen and paper, and we're going to do a few calculations. So we need to go back to our original yarn, which was the Langcloud, and what we need to do now is look at the meterage on this ball. So if we look here, we can see this ball has 260 meters. So I'm just going to begin by writing that down. So Lang equals 260 meters per ball. Okay, now I'm going to look at a substitute yarn. So we were looking at the King Cole Flare, and if we have a look on the back of this one, we have 320 meters. Now this one also has yards on it, so you need to make sure that you stick to the meters. If you started in meters, or if you working in yards in the beginning, stick to the yards. Okay, so we're working in meters, so we're going to go 320 meters for the flare. So I'm going to write that down. Flare, 320 meters per ball. Now I want to just bring in another ball. This is also a chunky yarn, but I want to bring this one in for reasons you'll see in a moment. So this is still a chunky yarn, and this one has 175 meters. So if we Right, the flutterby equals 175 meters per ball. Okay, so what we need to do now, we have our original yarn here, and then we have a couple of substitute options. And I'll just write in the lagoon as well because we were using that earlier on. So let's just pull in the lagoon and have a look at the meterage on this one. So this is 340 meters. So let's add the lagoon in, is 340 meters per ball. The more examples we have, the easier I think it is going to be to understand what we're doing here. So once we have our substitute yarns here and the meterage per ball, we need to go back to the original ball. So that was 260 meters per ball, and in the pattern for this example we said in the beginning that we needed 4 balls, so times 4. So the first calculation we would do is 260 meters times 4. That is what the original pattern required from us. So once we do that calculation, we now know that we need 1040 meters for the project. Now the next thing we need to do is calculate the flare. Okay, so if we write flare, what we would then do is divide this into our 1040 meters. So we know we need 1040 meters. So we can divide the 320 meters that we know is on a ball of flare, and that gives us 3.25 balls. Okay, so we can't have less than 3 balls because we've got this 25, so we have to round up. So we know we would need to buy 4 balls of the flare. So now let's have a look at the flutterby. So we do the same calculations. So flutterby is, so we start with our 1040 meters and we can divide that by, we know the flutterby has 175 meters per ball, and that gives us 5.94. So for this, so if we were to use the flutterby, in this case we would need to purchase 6 balls to make the project. So you can see, although they were both 100-gram balls, the meterage is different, and so the final calculation of balls needed is different. So if we just work out the lagoon as well, just to give you another example. So again, this number never changes, the 1040, because that's from the original meterage of the project that we calculated. So we know that's the meterage needed for the project. And now we can divide the lagoon. So the lagoon balls have 340 meters on them, and that equals 3.05, so just short of 3 balls. So we would still in this case need to purchase 4 balls of yarn. So I hope from this you can see that although the grams of the balls may be the same as in the case of the flare and the flutterby, the lagoon is actually 200-gram balls. The grams are irrelevant, which is why I didn't write them down in the calculation, because I didn't want that to confuse you. The grams are irrelevant. What we really need to be looking at is the meterage or the yardage. So the first thing you do is take the original yarn that the pattern suggests. You calculate the number of balls by the yardage on the recommended ball band, and that gives you the overall meterage. And then you can go ahead and calculate the substitute yarns and work out, as we did here, how many balls you would need to buy for the substitute yarn. So I hope that little bit of maths has helped clarify how you would work that out, and also shows how you cannot go by the grams. The grams are irrelevant. You need to go by the meterage or the yardage. So you must do this calculation to work out how many balls of yarn you would need for your substitute yarn. So once you've calculated these numbers, there are still a few other things we need to look at before deciding upon a substitute yarn. So let's have a look at those now. Okay, so we've looked at the weight, we've looked at calculating the yardage, and there are just a few other things to take into consideration when substituting your yarn. And that is the fibre. So each of these yarns are going to work up in a different way, and they are going to have a different drape and a different look and a different stitch definition. So if we look at the original Land Cloud, we can see this is a lovely fluffy soft yarn. And then if we look at the other yarns, the only one closest to that would be the flare in texture and appearance. If we were to use the Lagoon or this Flutterby, the garment would have a very smooth look to it, whereas these yarns have a very cozy, fluffy look. So that is something else to take into consideration, is how the final garment is going to look with the alternative yarn that you may be choosing. So if we're using the Lang, which has wool in it, this is going to be very springy and very forgiving in our knitting. If we were to choose a cotton as an alternative, that could be very heavy, and cotton can grow, so that's going to affect the final garment. If we're going to use acrylic like these, then it's a lighter weight fabric it produces at the end rather than one with a wool content. If we substitute it for a wool with alpaca in, it's going to be very drapey and can stretch a lot. So again, that's going to change the final look and feel of the garment. So we really do need to take into consideration that by changing the yarn will also change the fit and the feel of the garment. And we also need to look at caring for the garment. If you're going to be using wool, the care of that garment is going to be different to if you're going to be using an acrylic base. So it may be that you don't want to be hand washing your garments, that you do want to be able to machine wash them, in which case an alternative such as an acrylic would be a good option. So you do need to consider all these things. So if we just recap, you need to consider, first of all, the weight of the yarn. You need to be using the same weight. So if it's a double knit, then you need to substitute it for a double knit. If it's an aran weight, you need to substitute it for an aran weight, etc. Then you need to calculate the yardage. You need to ignore the grams of the balls, and you need to do that calculation to see how many balls you need based on the yardage or the meterage. And then you need to look at the garment, how the garment is going to look, fit and feel after you've made it, depending on what yarn choices you decide to use, and also how you're going to care for the garment. Do you want to be hand washing? Do you want the option to be able to put it in the washing machine? Is it for a child, in which case an acrylic may be a better option if you just want to machine wash it and fridge dry quickly? If it's for an adult and it's a luxury garment, then you may want to stick to a luxury yarn and hand wash it. So those are all personal choices, but they are definitely things you need to consider when substituting a yarn. And one other final thing, which is very important to any knitting project you're doing, whether you're using the original yarn or substituting a yarn, is to do a gauge swatch. Let me give this as an example in case you're new to knitting and never come across a tension square. So a tension square is where you would knit a piece of fabric. So you could cast on 35 stitches and do 35 rows in stocking stitch in this case and cast off, and that would give you enough fabric to be able to measure your tension. So in this case the pattern is saying that we need 22 stitches and 28 rows to 10 centimeters over stocking stitch and worked up on 4mm needles. So you would cast on, for example, 35 stitches on your 4mm needles and work 35 rows in stocking stitch and cast off. You would then use a tape measure or a measuring gauge and you would place that on your fabric and you would count the number of stitches until you reach your 10 centimeters. Once you've measured your square, if you have less stitches or rows in your 10 centimeters than the number stated in the pattern, then you need to change to smaller needles. So in this case, you would try 375 needles, knit your gauge swatch again and remeasure. If you have more stitches in your 10 centimeters than the pattern required, so in this case it requires 22, if say you had 25 stitches, then you would change to larger needles. You would do another gauge swatch using a larger size needle, so you could try it on a 4.5 millimeter, for example. You have to refer back to the tension all the time, and every knitting pattern will have a different tension, so you need to check that before starting the garment. So that is the other really important factor to consider when choosing an alternative yarn. So I hope you found today's video on how to substitute a yarn helpful. If you have, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and do leave a comment in the comments box below if there are any other knitting videos, tutorials you would like me to cover. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.